Hello everyone, this is a continuation of the Manipulator type series. You can watch the first 4 up on my channel now, or go to my playlist and watch them under the title Manipulator Types. This series is focused on different types of manipulation that we use as human beings unknowingly or knowingly. Some people do this on purpose to get what they want out of others, while others do it subconsciously simply because it is very effective in getting people to do the things you want them to do. This series is not focusing on victim versus abuser. Rather, the point is to teach and educate on the different types of manipulation that can be used at different times. Each type can be used interchangeably as well. We can use one type of manipulation at one time, 2 or even 3 at another time. Today, I will be going over the bully manipulator type. This one doesn't need much of an explanation, but bullying is when someone is treating someone else cruel, threatening, and aggressively. From the start, most people know that it's not good to bully people, but people do it anyway. The problem with bullying as a form of manipulation is that bullies do not think it's a bad thing that they're treating you horribly most of the time. Typically, they're not even considering what they're doing as bullying. Sometimes, bullies can even justify their behavior. They can make excuses and reasons as to why they do the things they do. So for example, if you're being yelled at by an angry bully, they can say something like, "I'm angry and I'm insulting you because you made me angry." And they will continue to blame you for their behavior even though it has nothing to do with what you're doing to them. They're just taking their anger out on you. The bully can use aggressive tactics to directly manipulate in the worst way possible. They can be physical and very aggressive with their words. They dominate with fear and force. It's also important to note that typically men are seen as bullies since they are physically stronger when it comes to being physically abusive, but women also fall into this category. Women can be physically intimidating and also physically abusive. Sometimes what happens is women hit men knowing that men will not hit back because men are not supposed to hit women. And if the man firmly believes this, he will take the punishment. He will just continue to be physically abused by the woman. So physical abuse is another type of abuse, but it can be used to manipulate because it instills great fear in someone. So you follow along simply because you're just very afraid to go against what they're saying. This extends into verbal assault as well. The words that come out of the bully's mouth are made to sting and hurt. It has the intention to cause damage. The bully knows primarily how to communicate in ways that are very cruel and aggressive. They don't really know how to communicate in ways that are more proper or more engaging. They only know how to communicate in this way. Most of the time, their main emotion is anger. So their first reaction is anger, and even if they feel an emotion that's different, like sadness or discomfort, they express it as anger. They also add on to their anger by getting angry at the fact that they're feeling an emotion other than anger because they may consider it a nuisance or simply a weaker emotion. They can control an entire flow of conversation just by intimidation alone. So for example, they may say something like, "If you bring up that argument, it's going to be a big problem for you. I'm going to make your life impossible." So you immediately feel the threat. If you do anything they wish to avoid, or if you hurt them in any way, they will return with uncontrolled anger and cruelty while seeking revenge, trying to get back at you in the worst way. In a relationship, the bully is the one berating the other person into submission. This can go as far as even sexual submission, but they basically use you as a punching bag. They barrage you with insults and take out their frustrations on you. They expect you to deal with them without any kind of retaliation on your part. If you retaliate in some way, the barrage gets worse until you are just beaten down. And that's the way they see it. They say, "Oh, there's still some fight left in them. Let me continue to smash them some more." So they just continue to bury you into the ground. They don't listen, and they only serve to bring you down. They bring down your ideas, your feelings, and your voice until you're completely defeated. With bullies, you might feel like they love you because depending on how comfortable they are with you and how you react to their insults, they get more comfortable enough to engage in bully behavior. They may apologize frequently, and then they return to the same behavior. Over time, as they strip you of your self-worth, it becomes an everyday thing where they just bully you on a regular basis. In friendships, it's almost the same. They put themselves in the leadership position and you're merely the follower. They keep you around and keep you in check using intimidation. If you don't like the things they're doing for whatever reason, they will verbally assault you. So being their friend is more of a burden than anything. This is more of an enemy than a friend in reality. So the types of people who gravitate towards bully types are those people who need someone to cling to. It's hard for people who are less charismatic to lead and speak up. So they usually suffer from lower self-esteem, and this is why someone may be attracted to someone of this caliber. So this is why these people can handle being around bullies, because they have this lowered self-esteem and they usually typically believe that things are being told by the bully. A bully type parent yells at their children and belittles them. They usually nag them to death about how bad they are as children, as teenagers and young adults. In reality, whatever stage in life they are in, they get yelled at for the things that they do. Usually, this gets physical abusive if the child doesn't listen. This beats the child down tremendously. The child becomes afraid of their parent, and many times they become bullied themselves because this is what they see and experience. And on the other side, they can become very dependent on this type of person. They get used to the abuse and they subconsciously seek it out in others because they consider it normal. And because the self-esteem is already shot down, then they need that person to cling to, that bully. The bully at work can be a boss or a coworker. The boss can be awful because they have position over you. It's kind of like being in the mafia where the consequences of your mistakes can be very intense. If you make a mistake, you are reprimanded and you're threatened. You're made to feel small, and firing you is the least of your worries because they might say things that are worse. They might say something like, if you leave or I fire you, I will make sure you never get a job in this field ever again. They make you feel like no one will hire you. And if the person is a coworker, they will bully you in order to make your life miserable at work. They might perceive you as some kind of threat or some kind of competition. So they must remove you. They must strip you of your confidence by bullying you. This may make you want to leave, and that's the point of manipulating in this way, because they have to get rid of you some way, somehow, and they will do this by insulting you and making you feel small. In public, bully types are rude and impatient. They have no filter and no empathy for others. It's survival of the fittest to them. So you might bump into them by accident on the street, and then you'll find yourself in an argument that may actually lead into a fist fight. They blow things up. They blow things out of proportion, and this is a show most of the time because they must show that they are dominant and they are superior and they can't show any weakness. It's manipulation at the end of the day, and they want you to get riled up as well so they can continue to have an excuse to smash you into the ground. It's hard to imagine a bully or bully traits being transformed into something positive, but with every bad trait, there is a good trait hidden in there. The bully, when they turn their insults and abuse into something positive, becomes someone who is a vindicator or some kind of advocate, someone who can use this aggression to defend others. They can be people who stand for something and seek justice if their energy is put in the right place. They don't have to be cruel or mean. Their way of communication can be straightforward and direct, but that doesn't mean they have to be hostile. They can be leaders, and they can stand for a great cause. An example of this is someone like Martin Luther King, who stood for something. And at the time he stood for what he was standing for, it was against social norms. But he stood strong, and he was not combative, he wasn't aggressive, and he wasn't hostile either. If you're struggling dealing with a bully, there's two things to consider. Is the bully physically aggressive? And what is the bully attempting to do by bullying you? If they're physically abusive, then it's important to seek help as quickly as you can, because the bully will get comfortable engaging in physically abusive behavior the longer it goes on. There can be many reasons as to why a bully is targeting you and what they're doing, but typically it's to make you submit. And if they are non-physical with you, then you don't have to worry as much about getting hurt physically. If this is the case, then do not take the insults in. The insults have one purpose, and it's only to hurt you. Don't give them the pleasure of hurting you any longer. They are not seeking to communicate. They're not seeking to listen to you. They're seeking to hurt you and damage you. But seek help anyway, quickly, because it's not easy dealing with the barrage of insults on a daily basis. And as you push back on them, they just might get physical one day. There's no way of telling. Many times, bullies see their own insecurities and project them onto you. And what they're saying to you is actually what they believe about themselves. The anger the bully has is merely a reflection on them. So don't blame yourself. They will try and make things seem like it's all your fault. But what they're actually saying is, I am the problem. And when they are engaging in that behavior, they are the problem. They are the ones being the bully.